All right, our second Sony FX3 just came in the mail. We're currently recording on one right now. I thought it would be a fun idea to talk to you guys about some of the things I think you should know if you are considering purchasing the Sony FX3. Some of the concerns I had before and my thoughts afterwards. We just posted a 1-year review sort of video on the channel of the FX3. So if you want a little bit more details, then you can definitely go check that out. I'll leave the link somewhere in the bio or in the captions or whatever. Yeah, I figured I'd just give you guys just some basic quick thoughts as we unbox this new Sony FX3. I was very apprehensive before getting the Sony FX3, and now we're literally unboxing our second one. There's just quite a few things that are a little bit misunderstood about this camera, but yeah, let's open this up, shall we? Oh, before we open this up, something else came in the mail that I'm pretty excited about. So this, I don't know if you guys can see this. There you go. So this is brick. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but it's just basically a piece of plastic with, I think, some NFC capabilities. And basically, you just download the app and you can tap your phone to it to lock usage of certain apps. So for example, right now I'm at 34 minutes bricked. So I've locked Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And the only way to be able to use these apps is if you actually tap your phone to it. So it's kind of a cool concept. I got it for the office so that Tori and I would get less distracted because we tend to spend a lot of time on social media and focus is very hard to come by these days. I thought it was a cool little gadget. We're testing it out. We'll let you know what we think about it. But anyways, let's get to the main event, shall we? We just purchased a second Sony FX3. And why did we get a second one? The main reason was because I was booked to go on a TV show shoot in the States. Instead of them renting a Sony FX3 from another company, I just decided to purchase one because we needed a second camera anyways. And so that way they would just rent it from us. And so some of our costs are already recuperated in order to get this camera. So I just thought it was a good move anyways. It's a phenomenal camera. And even if the Sony FX3 II comes out, I still think that this camera is gonna be really powerful for what we need. First things first that comes out, the infamous top handle. Ooh, we have our charger, which I've only used once because we bought a dual charger for dual batteries. And here is the main event. And 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! And there it is. There's our second Sony FX3. I typically name my cameras. So the Sony that we're shooting on right now is called Anubis. And this time, because Tori's a huge fan of this camera, I let him name the camera. He landed on the name called Scar, which is a very interesting name because I think it's really cool, but it's also sort of has like an inside joke because we play Fortnite and one of the better guns in the game, if you're not familiar with it.
Best gun, it's the best gun in the game.
He's saying it's the best gun in the game.
Most goated gun.
According to Tori, the most goated gun in the game is the Gold Scar. And so I thought it was a really cool name. There's no practical purpose to having a name to cameras. I just think it's fun. All my cameras have had names so far. But yeah, the Sony FX3. I used to shoot primarily and solely in Canon. I love their colors, I love their ergonomics, and I love their photos. I think that there's quite a few things that I enjoy about Canon. As we got a little bit more involved in filmmaking, more and more we had the pull to switch to a Sony system for quite a few reasons. Again, if you guys want to see more details about it, you can check out the video that we made. But basically there was some limitations, including the low light performance, as well as some of the dynamic range and just overall the ergonomics of the camera that were sort of limiting our filmmaking potential. And we finally made the jump. I purchased the Sony FX3 and I feel like looking online, there's quite a few things that I wish I had known a little bit before buying the camera. There's quite a few things that obviously when you say like the colors are different, they're way different, they are, and all these things, but I just felt like there wasn't enough people sort of discussing practically what to expect when going into the camera, and if it's even a good purchase and why I think it's a good purchase. I figured I would give you guys some of my thoughts. There's probably 3 things that I would recommend, or 3 thoughts that I would encourage you guys to have or think about before getting this camera. And the first one is, especially if you are coming from, let's say, a Canon system, or even like a Nikon system or a Blackmagic system where the colors in camera already are really good. The log is really easy to work with in terms of just basically boosting colors or applying a simple LUT and sort of tweaking things, like the skin tones just look naturally really good in camera. There will be quite a bit of a learning curve when it comes to colors. Colors are completely different. It is very, very difficult if you have no experience in color grading. And so you have to anticipate that there's going to be quite a bit of time for you to learn how to grade this color. We actually switched into DaVinci Resolve from Premiere in order to be able to learn how to color grade. And we've only recently truly learned how to color grade this footage. There's quite a few things that were different just in terms of like converting to Rec 709 and all these details. I highly recommend you guys learn how to convert from Rec 709 or from log footage, sorry. If I'm being honest, our first videos looked like garbage. They looked terrible. One thing that you should keep in mind before getting this camera is the colors are very different from, well, from any camera system, I would say. You kind of have to really get used to it. It will take you some time, but I can genuinely say that it's very rewarding when you get to a point where you can color grade it relatively well. We're not pros by any means, but it's very rewarding to be able to learn how to tweak some of the minor details. 2, it'll probably make you a better filmmaker in the end of it. So one of the things you should keep in mind before getting this camera. Second thing I think that people should know before purchasing this camera is it will change the way you shoot videos or films. And personally, I think it'll probably change it for the better. I think that having had a dedicated photo camera with added video functions has always put me into environments where I was a hybrid shooter. I often shoot both photos and videos for clients, and having that in one body with Canon, for example, the R5 or the R6 Mark II, it was just very handy because I could do both, a little bit of both. But it made it so I was not as focused in one, and I thought I could handle it all. It doesn't allow me to truly spend time in terms of getting good compositions and, you know, just really thinking with a videographer mindset. And I think that switching to the FX3, which can also take photos, primarily a video camera and a filmmaking tool, it's completely changed my approach to filmmaking. Now we're building rigs, right? We're shooting handheld in a very different way. You know, I purchased a handle, so we shoot handheld from time to time. We're, you know, adding different accessories. Having a monitor becomes more and more useful. And so just really dialing in shots, looking at lighting and exposure and white balance, as I mentioned before, it's made me become a little bit more intentional when it comes to making videos. And I personally think that that's a good thing. Obviously, it's probably made me a worse photographer, if I'm being honest. But I think that that's maybe a sacrifice I'm willing to make because I want to become a better filmmaker. And I think that having tools that really support and have those types of functions, like for example, obviously it's got button for the white balance, the iris, the ISO, and the menu systems, and sort of the ergonomics for filmmaking. It is a square shaped, so it's easy for a cage or to mount onto a rig or things like that. So it kind of forces you into a box in a way that tends to make people nervous. And, you know, we want to be able to create without any limitations, but I remember this one quote from Kobe Bryant on a podcast with Jay Shetty where he mentioned that creativity sparks from structure. And the idea of having limitations and guided sort of repetitions and things like that creates creativity. And so having sort of limitations and certain criteria by which we have to operate within will make you more creative because there is less to think about. There are less variables. And so you can focus in on more things. And I think that this camera, because of that, has made me a better filmmaker. That's something I highly recommend you sort of think about your approach. Is this something that you truly want to dive into? Are you really looking to become a better filmmaker, a videographer? Obviously, everyone wants to become better, but are you really trying to dive into this industry, or do you prefer staying more active as a photographer? Are you really trying to stay more on the social media, sort of like hybrid roles? there is a space for that, so don't worry about it. But just keep that in mind if you are considering to purchase this camera, because this will confine you to certain criteria. The last thing I want anyone who's considering to get this camera to think about is, it's just a camera. It really is. We just found out today how to use the denoise function in DaVinci, and all of our Canon footage that we have backlogged that we're using now in videos for B-roll and stuff like that looks phenomenal, you know? And one of the reasons why I switched into this camera was because of the noise function. So there are workarounds for everything, and having just a new camera or the FX3 won't necessarily make you, like, it won't make your videos look good. You know, there's gonna be a lot of things that are a lot more important to your video: lighting, composition, story. As you hear, story is always king. So those things are really important, and arguably there are people who shoot on worse cameras than the FX3s. There are people who shoot on iPhones who are better storytellers than I will probably ever be. Nah, hopefully not. But there are probably people who are shooting on iPhones who are better storytellers than me with an FX3, just because they know the art of composition, they know their details, they know exactly what they want to get, and the tool isn't stopping them from getting that. So just keep that in mind. Again, it's just a camera. Obviously, it's a flashy tool. It's great to be able to have, and everyone wants it. But I remember, you know, the moment I got this camera, I started seeing so many videos about other people who had Canon cameras, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. You know, I'm seeing people with like R6s and, you know, EOS R still, who have videos that really make me feel incompetent and insecure, if I'm being honest. And so again, it's just a tool. It's just a piece of gear. It is a powerful, powerful piece of gear when used correctly, but it's not the solution to you becoming a better filmmaker. It's not what's going to save you. It's not what's going to, you know, make or break your career. I think that if you don't have the budget, don't worry about it. This isn't something that's necessary for you to create powerful stories. And so if you have the means to get this, obviously I would recommend this camera. Again, look at our video. We did a little bit of a review on it in our last video. But if it's not something that you think is in your budget, or, you know, you're stretching a little bit to get it, don't remortgage your house for this. Don't try to get a loan just for this camera. It's not gonna make or break your filming career. It's just, again, a tool. But that's it. These are my final thoughts for anyone who's considering getting this camera. Again, this is just my perspective and for the type of content that we are shooting right now. I have really enjoyed this camera, and we will be using it a lot moving forward. Hopefully this video helped you guys out if you are considering to get this. You can ask me a bunch of questions in the comments. We'll try to answer them as best as we can. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.